Hi, my name is Aaron Toys. I'm the co-founder of Longtail, and I'm also the co-founder of WeCount.co.za, South Africa's first group buying website. I'm here to tell you a little bit about our new concept, so sit back, enjoy. Thanks so much.
So, what is Longtail and why have we chosen that as our nom de guerre? The Longtail describes the phenomenon whereby products in low demand or that have low sales volumes can collectively make up a market share that rivals or exceeds the relatively few current bestsellers or blockbusters. Brick and mortar businesses are constrained by the amount of shelf space they have, so they have to stock only the best-selling, fastly moving products. An e-commerce business, on the other hand, doesn't face the same constraints due to the much broader market it is able to access via the internet. This allows an e-commerce business to sell weird, wonderful niche items that are hardly available anywhere else. It is these items that comprise the long tail, but interestingly, it is also these items that collectively sell more than the items at the head of the curve. This is all well and good for businesses like Amazon.com, Wanted.co.za, or Kalahari.net, but we have a brand new take on this concept and want to implement it in a completely different way, a way that addresses huge gaps in the current e-commerce environment in South Africa, and in doing so, redefine the term long tail. As you are probably aware, there are about a dozen or so top-tier South African e-commerce websites, and I'd venture a guess that there are another dozen or so that comprise the second tier. I believe we've managed to get WeCount into the second tier. What I still cannot believe as we enter 2013 is that there hardly exists a long tail of e-commerce websites, and where they do exist, the quality of these sites is so poor it's surprising if they do any business online at all. This is exactly the opportunity we wish to pursue. We want to create a group of online companies that each address a specific underserviced market or niche in the South African e-commerce market. While each company on its own may service a relatively small market, the group of companies as a whole will service a large, diverse market, and in the process create a company that rivals the largest e-commerce businesses in South Africa and abroad. What we aim to do is create a long tail of quality websites. We believe that each of these websites can become the market leader in its individual market. So, let's take a look at this in practice. Here's a sample of some of South Africa's leading e-commerce businesses. This is not an exhaustive list, nor is it in any particular order, but rather used to illustrate the point. Interestingly, Yuppie Chef is quite a niche business. However, due to both its quality, advertising, customer service, free shipping, etc., it has achieved notable success. Our aim is to create numerous Yuppie Chefs, each the leader in its own category. By owning a wide variety of business in the long tail, we believe we can create a large-scale business that's worth more than the sum of its parts. Before I mention some of the businesses we want to include in the group, and this could certainly change over time, these sectors have been identified by looking at what's working overseas in more mature markets. In contrast to WeCount, none of these employ novel, unproven business models. Another reason why I've selected some of the businesses is their propensity for repeat purchases and regular customers, which I believe will help make these businesses successful. Some of these businesses might include online office supply and stationery. This is a massive business in the United States with 3 major e-commerce sites in the top 100. Staples, Office Depot, and Office Max. Interestingly, in its annual report, Staples states that it derives $6 billion in annual sales from its website, which represents 50% of its US sales. Fruit and veg delivery. Like Kalula, this is really an offline business that uses the internet to drive the sales and marketing of this service. In the UK, this is a £100 million a year industry. Grocery, specifically non-perishable items. Diapers.com started in 2006 with 2 employees. Over the years, they've added numerous other home-focused businesses. Sub.com selling non-perishable grocery goods, Wag.com focused on the pet market, YoYo.com for toys, and BeautyBar.com for makeup and cosmetics. This group of companies was bought by Amazon in 2011 for a reported $500 million in cash. In many ways, this is what we are looking to do. Put together a group of e-commerce businesses and do a freaking good job of doing it. Now I'm not going to go into such detail regarding the rest of the business opportunities, but suffice it to say that similar logic exists. Some of these opportunities are makeup and cosmetics, nutrition and supplements, toys, online pet supply store, pharmaceuticals, sporting goods, sunglasses, frames and contacts, watches and jewelry, security, alcohol and liquor, DIY and home improvement, and many, many more. While I've described the businesses above as forming the long tail, that is not to say that they cannot be good, profitable businesses on their own. However, when combined in the long tail group of companies, these individuals contribute to make the whole group a very large, sustainable e-commerce business. Now, let's take one example which I believe is typical of the South African e-commerce landscape: office supply and stationery. A quick Google search of office supply should reveal the 10 most relevant sites. Frankly, this is how I'd like to procure my stationery in my own business, but as you'll see now, there is a huge gap for the taking. First on the top 10 list is a Wikipedia article, so we'll ignore that. Second is Walton's, which makes sense, so let's have a look at this site. This should be awesome, right? Or at least very good. Wrong. First of all, and in my humble opinion, it's not exactly inviting, and it's either an afterthought or they are not serious about selling online. So let's dig a bit deeper to see a bit more. I've done a search for the term pen, and as you can see, the results are dismal. Not one pen had they returned. So let's try Pilot Pen, my favorite brand. Great. I get a result and select my pen. So I don't want to bore you with what's wrong with this page, but suffice it to say, the whole process is tedious, they're not displaying any upsell or cross-sell options, and the user experience is poor. Unfortunately, I cannot find any indication of the sales volume of revenue generated by the Walton site, but I would be surprised if it was a substantial contributor to their business. The main problem is that they are in the business of stationery, not e-commerce. We, however, are in the business of e-commerce, and stationery will be only one of the items that we know how to sell. So let's move on to the next 8 results. I'm going to run through these quite quickly since I don't want to bore you to death. Almost none of these even have e-commerce facilities, and where they do, they're as bad, if not worse, than Walton's. This one doesn't even exist. So, let's try sites that are paying for Google advertising. Frankly, these results are not much better. Although it looks like you might be able to buy from them, all you can actually do is get a quote after adding items one by one. The truth is, even the guys paying for advertising to get you to their site don't even provide decent e-commerce. It's so bad in fact that they all have links to their how to order from us page. It's no wonder I don't buy my stationery online. So, maybe you'll say that my search was flawed and I should have searched for office stationery instead. The results are only slightly better, as I can pick up only 2 decent e-commerce sites. But, while both of these sites look pretty good, and you can buy from them, they fail with the cross and upselling. More importantly, however, neither of these businesses have created a brand for themselves, and as a result, I think most people are still buying their office stationery the old-fashioned way. We believe we can change that by using our experience to provide a world-class e-commerce option to the market, and by telling people about it aggressively by advertising and marketing that business. The exact same story is true for all the other businesses I've listed above and many more. Luckily for you, I believe one case study was more than enough to prove my point. My aim of taking you through this was to show you the opportunity as I see it. I watched firsthand as Kalula, Netflix, Kalahari, Bitterbuy, and more recently Groupon, Xando, Takealot, and Yuppie Chef have used both online and offline media to launch and build their businesses into online brands that are doing some serious sales volumes. We at WeCount have done the same thing. We built a brand that most people trust and continue to use despite the competition we face. I will grant you that we're not of the same magnitude as the sites listed above. But that is what the Longtail is all about. If we had 10 WeCounts, or in the case of Longtail, 10 businesses all contributing at similar levels to WeCount, we'd have a business to rival any of the businesses mentioned above. I'll admit that this is no easy feat, but I'm confident that Dan and I have the experience necessary to seize this opportunity by the throat and to make it a huge success. We are asking not only for you to invest in Longtail, but to help us jumpstart this new business through the mentorship offered by 88 miles per hour. Thank you very much for your time. We look forward to seeing you in Cape Town.